Using camera traps, wildlife camera traps, to monitor wildlife along an urbanization gradient. Yeah, it looks pretty young. Not a baby, but small.
A baby possum?
Caught on camera, these St. Louis critters, both large and small, are sometimes camera ready, other times not.
Like it looks like the top of a deer ear, maybe?
Yeah.
But their presence at the locations is valuable information.
Recently we got one with a coyote and a possum. We don't know what happened from that interaction, but it's cool to also realize we see these different animals, but they're all using these same sites, and occasionally we happen to get an interesting shot of some wildlife interaction.
Whitney Anthonysamy is an associate professor of biology at University Health Sciences and Pharmacy in St. Louis, and she's a co-principal investigator of the St. Louis Wildlife Project that launched in 2018.
St. Louis Wildlife Project is a collaboration between myself and two other amazing women, Elizabeth Bureau and Dr. Somi Adelstonson at Tyson Research Center. They're both staff scientists there. All of us being ecologists, we found that we shared a lot of common research interests, including doing urban wildlife monitoring here in St. Louis.
There are 41 cameras in the St. Louis area. The motion-activated camera trap captures images of wildlife.
Mostly parks and natural areas, and we have them spaced along an urbanization gradient starting at the St. Louis Arch out to Eureka, Missouri.
Anthonysamy's undergraduate biology students at UHSP have a role with the research, taking on the photo tagging process.
Really great opportunity to get students involved in research. It takes a long time to process the thousands of images that we get, collected over 300,000 photos. Ultimately, that's the data that we use to answer our research questions.
One question relates to the gentrification of cities, which means
it's this process where affluent residents displace under-resourced, underserved, marginalized residents.
The researchers with the St. Louis Wildlife Project contributed to a national study to understand gentrification and what happens with the types of mammals seen here. The St. Louis Wildlife Project partners with the Urban Wildlife Information Network, based at the Lincoln Park Zoo in Chicago. The data collected in St. Louis goes into an international database. In a study led by the Lincoln Park Zoo's Urban Wildlife Institute, data from 23 cities in the U.S., including St. Louis, proved how gentrified parts of the city have notably more urban wildlife than ungentrified parts of the same city.
What tends to happen then is you have an increase then in the quality of the green spaces and green infrastructure in these gentrified areas. Gentrified areas did have more mammal diversity or a greater number of species than non-gentrified areas. On average, these gentrified areas would have an additional 1 or 2 species compared to non-gentrified areas.
The research projects are about the understanding of urban ecology and biodiversity. The findings are beneficial to wildlife management and the support of sustainable urban planning. Anthonysamy says St. Louis plays an important role in maintaining biodiversity.
One of the great things about St. Louis is that we have a lot of amazing green spaces. And so we have a lot of opportunities to interact with nature and interact with wildlife and animals.
And the proof is here because there's no escaping the lens.
The more rare are bobcats, armadillos. Occasionally we'll get a flying squirrel.
Among the more common animals are deer, and deer carry ticks with diseases that are spread to people. Now, with grant support from University Health Sciences and Pharmacy, the St. Louis Wildlife Project is expanding their research focus to include testing for diseases in ticks.
The tick project, it's related to the camera trapping work, but it's kind of a pilot. We're trying to generate some preliminary information to do a more expansive project.
While the tick research is just beginning, the photo tagging of thousands of camera shots continue. And there are some animals they know are out there that they still hope to catch on camera.
We haven't gotten any bears yet, and we haven't gotten any mountain lions either. We're we're hoping that we do one of these days.